Hello and welcome back to Alice Talks Football and welcome back to another live Manchester United news and update show. Today's video we've got lots to talk about, from Jesse Lingard's brother speaking out on Instagram, Marcus Rashford leaving, some news on NKUKU to the Premier League, some news on RUBEN, some TCHOUAMENI and NUNEZ updates, a lot of other stories, reports that Ronaldo is staying, reports that Ten Hag has identified 8 key players he plans to use next season, would like to get rid of the rest of the players. Lots of reports suggesting that it's very unlikely Martial will stay. Obviously, reports Rashford are leaving, and then reports that Manchester United are willing to offer Dembele a contract to get him on a free. There's some reports coming out of Spain saying that Manchester United are set to offer Dembele a contract to join the club, and he could join the club on the 3. Now, my first thought is it's not the most reliable source saying this, and could this be Dembele using United's name to try and get Barcelona to offer him the contract that he wants? We know that Manchester United have continually been linked with Dembele, and we do know Manchester United have a thing for Dembele. But what I will say about Dembele to Manchester United is I like Dembele. I think he's actually been a lot better under Xavi, but he's got a very high injury record and he's on quite high wages. And I think Manchester United, in the new structure in the Ten Hag era, I think we don't want to be buying players on a 3 or buying aging players or buying players with high wages to come to the club, and they're only coming to the club because we can give them the wages they want. I think where we've gone wrong in the past is the reason players have come to United is because we're the only club that will pay them the wages that they want. And I feel like maybe that could be a situation with Dembele. And I think, you know, if Woodward was still here, if Judge was still here, then I'd have every reason to believe that United would go for Dembele. But I think with, you know, Lawler being gone, Marcel Bout being gone, with Woodward and Judge being gone, with Ten Hag coming in, with Rangnick having to say, I don't think Ousmane Dembele is the type of guy that Manchester United will be planning to bring in under Ten Hag. I know that we like Dembele. We all know the United have liked Dembele. We all know United have inquired about Dembele in the past. We know that when Man United tried to get Dembele, when we didn't get Sancho, Dembele wasn't that keen on joining United himself. And I think, you know, I like Dembele and he's a very good player. And if he didn't have a poor injury record, I'd love him at Manchester United, especially on a 3. But I think with Dembele, he's a player that would be more interested in coming to Manchester United for the wages, I think, and all of that. And I just feel like it's one that I don't think United want to make, if I'm being honest. Andrew says even on a 3, you wouldn't go near Ousmane Dembele. Can't ignore the last 4 years where his attitude and injuries have been terrible. Exactly as well. And there's reports that Ousmane Dembele does not have the best attitude, not wanting his wages. And I just think with United making so many mistakes in the past, this would definitely be something that Ten Hag, Rangnick would want to avoid. And I think now that we've completely changed the football structure at Manchester United, now Mert's involved, now Arnold's involved, now Ragnick's involved, now Ten Hag's going to be involved. You know, this is our first rebuild where actually there's no Judge, there's no Woodward. The whole footballing structure's changed. And, you know, the whole footballing structure in the past was players like Dembele, players like Diallo that would be going to Manchester United and being on particularly high wages. But I think now the way we're moving forward is I think we'd be looking at an Antony over Dembele. Even though Antony would be more expensive, Antony would be a better signing than Dembele because Antony would see United as a step up. He's got a better injury record. He's got a better attitude. And to play under Ten Hag, you need a right attitude. And there's been lots of reports that Dembele just doesn't quite have the attitude that is always needed at Manchester United as well. And I do think that maybe Dembele wants to stay at Barcelona. Maybe Dembele is getting his agent to say that United are going to offer him a contract to come on a 3, so that the club's interested in Dembele will hurry up and give him that contract, because it's very normal of players to use Manchester United's name to get what they want, get a wage boost, get a contract, and all of that. You know, the reports of Marcus Rashford leaving, is that so Marcus Rashford can get a new and improved contract, or is it that he's generally going to leave? And I think right now there are suggestions that Marcus Rashford could leave that we could get into. And, you know, if you think about it, Jadon Sancho has kind of been established as a left winger at Manchester United now, and Marcus Rashford isn't that right winger. Maybe Rashford out, Dembele in, is something that could happen with, you know, Barcelona obviously showing an interest in Rashford. It's an actual genuine interest that Barcelona have in Rashford despite his current form, and obviously we know United have had an interest in Dembele. Could there be something going on there? Obviously, it's come out from Darrow Montenegro of Sport Witness. It's not. Why have I said Montenegro? Darrow Monteiro from Sport Witness has said that Manchester United are offering Dembele a net salary of between 10 to 15 million euros per year. PSG could offer up to 70 million euros per year, and that Barcelona are aware of those proposals that Dembele has received. They are reporting via Sport Witness that we're offering Dembele 15 million euros a year, and PSG offering him 17 million euros a year. And if I'm going to be honest with you, when I read this report, despite we knowing that Man United have an interest in Dembele, I think this report is bullshit. I think Rangnick being involved, getting rid of Judge, getting rid of But I think the new footballing structure, it's not about offering crazy wages. Rangnick wants a new positive energy and not ridiculously high wages. That's what caused dressing room issues. I think this is Dembele trying to get a bumper contract out of Barcelona. You know, Dembele saying, oh, PSG will give me 17 million, United will give me 15 million. I think that's Dembele trying to get a bumper contract out of Barcelona. And I'm hoping that Man United are past that. I like Dembele, he's a good player, he's a good transfer on a free, but to be giving him wages like that, I think is where we've gone wrong in recent years. That's where we've got this spoiled attitude. And I just think with the way Rangnick's been talking about what Manchester United want to do, with the way Ten Hag's been talking about what Manchester United wants to do, with what we know about Judge and Woodward leading, I just think it's something that ideally Manchester United have passed. Dembele is bad recruitment. We don't need stars. We need youth with passion. Forget Dembele. I agree. We need youth with the right attitude. We need young players that want to come to Manchester United. You know, I think in the past where we've gone wrong is the reason we got Di Maria is because we were going to give Di Maria a higher salary than anyone else. The reason we got Falcao was because we were going to give Falcao a higher salary than anyone else. The reason we got Sanchez is because we were going to give Sanchez a higher salary than anyone else. Di Maria, Falcao, Sanchez, what were they? Shit. Do you know, shit. Like, there's no other way to explain it. And I think when you are literally... when a player chooses you because you are the club that will give him the most amount of money, I think it says it all about attitude. And I think, you know, when you're looking at players like Antony and Timber, they're at Ajax, they want to move to a top 5 league, they want to come to Manchester United. When you look at someone like Calvin Phillips, who obviously doesn't like Manchester United, but he'd want to go to a higher up club. You know, if you're a player that's not playing in Europe, you know, you would want to go to a team where you'd be playing in Europe, like maybe RUBEN NEVES. And I think they are the more appropriate transfers to do, because if you look at Liverpool, and I always refer to Liverpool a lot because Liverpool haven't spent anywhere near amount of money City have spent. You know, Keita came from the RB clubs. Firmino came from Hoffenheim. Mane came from Southampton. Van Dijk came from Southampton. Fabinho came from Monaco. Becker came from Roma. I think Salah came from Roma. Diaz came from Porto. Shota came from Wolves. Every single player that came to Liverpool and every single player that's so integral to Liverpool wasn't at a bigger club than Liverpool, wasn't at a better club than Liverpool at the time. They were at a smaller club, and going to Liverpool was a step up. So their reason for going to Liverpool was it was a bigger club in their career. It wasn't about, well, I've got loads of big clubs wanting me, which one's going to give me the most money? And Man United need to do what Liverpool have done. And we know that Rangnick has, you know, worked with Klopp. We know Rangnick's philosophy is we want to do what Liverpool have done. And, you know, Liverpool would not be getting Ousmane Dembele on a free. Liverpool got Luis Diaz. Liverpool got Diego Jota. Much more appropriate deals. Yes, they had to pay money for Luis Diaz. Yes, they had to pay money for Diego Jota. But right now, you'd argue they're better players than Ousmane Dembele. They're on, you know, Luis Diaz and Diego Jota's salary combined is less than Ousmane Dembele. And I think that's what Man United have got to do. I think NKUKU... yeah, I'm not the biggest admirer of NKUKU, but that would be a more respectable deal. RB Leipzig to Manchester United, Antony, Ajax to Manchester United. I feel with this transfer window, we've got to look at it and go, what would Liverpool do? Liverpool are interested in TCHOUAMENI, so we should be interested in TCHOUAMENI. I think TCHOUAMENI will choose Liverpool over Manchester United, but we know from Fabrizio Romano that it's most likely TCHOUAMENI is going to end up at Manchester United or end up at Liverpool. I think he will choose Liverpool. But it's those players that are currently at Monaco where Man United would be the next step, like TCHOUAMENI. You know, rather than a player that's at Barcelona that would only go to Man United because they're going to offer him the most wages, because that's when you cause dressing room issues. And further on, if you want my honest opinion on that as well. Guys, please do hit that like button. Of course, subscribe down below if you're new and share the video. Dembambulance. I mean, that's what he should be called. Honestly, he's always injured as well. And I will be watching Nottingham Forest versus Bournemouth today. I think it'll be an exciting game. Hence why I'm earlier, a little bit more than usual for a lot of people wondering, but there's some interesting stories have come out. DiMarzio said that NKUKU is Prem bound, and it seems that it's very weird, but some very reliable journalists saying that NKUKU will move to the Premier League, Darwin Nunez will move to the Premier League, and TCHOUAMENI will move to the Premier League. Now, look, I want TCHOUAMENI. I quite like Nunez, but I'm sceptical if he's going to fit Ten Hag's system. And again, I quite like NKUKU, and they all seem to be Premier League bound according to reports as well. And I think, you know, TCHOUAMENI and Nunez are more appropriate deals for Man United than Dembele. Again, you know, at a worse club, United will be a step up. Obviously, United right now seems to be a step down from anywhere with our current form, but you never know. I want to talk quickly about the Brentford game, and I will say regarding the Brentford game, I think that was a bittersweet ending to the season. I think that's you know, it was a good ending and to a shit season, is in that we actually played well. We all smiled. Everyone wanted to play together, and United finally put in a performance versus Brentford. And I'm hoping that we can start the season under Ten Hag at Old Trafford, how we left off at Old Trafford in that last game as well. And there's a report coming out that I want to get into, basically saying that Ten Hag has identified 8 key players that will be integral to his plan next season. at Manchester United, and he only really has plans for 8 players. And long term, apparently Ten Hag will want to keep these 8 players, and then everyone else he kind of wants to go over the next few years and bring in his own squad. It's reported that Ten Hag wants to keep 8 players at United and wants to bring in 8 more players and then build something else around the youth. Now, what's coming out about players wanting to leave and players wanting to join Manchester United and all of that, I am going to get into in just a second. But Jay Burt of The Telegraph, Jason Burt, had said that Erik ten Hag will target at least 3 key signings during the forthcoming transfer window, with the acceptance that it's impossible to carry out all the changes needed immediately. So Ten Hag will be looking to make at least 3 key signings in the transfer window, because unfortunately he wants to change 11 players. He won't be able to change 11 players. The 3 key positions that Manchester United reportedly will address in the transfer window, which came out from ESPN, was centre-back, CDM and striker. Romana said it'll be CDM, striker, and maybe a defensive position. So I think we get the indication that Ten Hag will definitely get a defender, a CDM and a striker. The first choice striker currently on the list is DARWIN NUNEZ, but however, Manchester United reportedly haven't actually had a long-term discussion with Ten Hag about who that striker could be. The midfielder on the list is obviously Declan Rice, TCHOUAMENI, Calvin Phillips, although will we be able to get any of them? United also admirers of Neves. There was a report that came out today that Ten Hag had reportedly said to Manchester United to go and show some interest in Neves, and then obviously United would like to get a defender in, with actually Spence from Nottingham Forest being leaked, but Manchester United's first choice striker seems to be Timber, and the only club Manchester United have really made any contact with is Ajax, discussing with Timber's agent maybe a potential deal. We've also been linked from a very, very reliable outlet to Jamal Malachi. I've said his name wrong. Why have I said Jamal? Why have I said Jamal? Don't know. Tyrell Malachi, or someone said it's not Malachi, it's Malacia. Do you know me and pronunciation as well? But it's very clear that Ten Hag will get a defender, a CDM, a striker, and they will be his 3 key positions. And then also he'd be like to be bringing in a potential fullback, a potential right winger, potentially someone like Kamara, hopefully like another cheap midfielder, and 3 key positions, and then some cheaper younger players to fill up the other positions that would need addressed. And that seems to be what is going on in the transfer window. Apparently, Erik ten Hag actually agreed with Ralf Rangnick's view that 6, 7, 8, maybe 10 players is needed in the summer. However, Jay Burt of The Telegraph said it's unlikely that could be achieved in one transfer window. And, Ten Hag's also been thinking about Maguire, what he's going to do with Maguire. And Ten Hag actually was saying, why is Maguire a much, much better player for England than he is the Manchester United guys? And why is Maguire a better player for England than Manchester United? I think England play more of a defensive system where Maguire would be more protected. For England, Maguire's got Calvin Phillips and Declan Rice, who are a lot better than McFred. I will defend Maguire with this. Maguire's not been good enough this season, but the Manchester United defence in midfield is so open. It is so easy to play through Manchester United. It's so easy to play through our midfield. It's got too many gaps in it, and I think maybe that's why Maguire struggles. I think United trying to play with a high line and more developing is why Maguire struggles. I think, the coaching at Manchester United is poor. The defensive coaching is poor. Even without Maguire, defensively, we're not brilliant anyway. I think although Maguire has been probably our worst defender, I think there's multiple reasons to why Maguire's been so poor at Manchester United. And you could even argue the keeper, as Maguire has looked better with Dean Henderson behind him. And this is a question that Ten Hag's questioning, because we know from Ralf Rangnick, and this report came out from Stephen Bates last week, that allegedly, basically, Ralf Rangnick basically thinks that Maguire's been poor, thinks that Maguire needs to go, but because Maguire costs £80 million, Man United feel like it's such a substantial investment to sell Maguire in the summer. Although Rangnick might not be the biggest fan of Maguire, although Ten Hag might want Maguire gone, it's been reported because he's so pricey, like such a significant investment, that Manchester United are actually a little bit like, oh, we've got to make do with Maguire. And there's reports that Ten Hag might have to try and make do with Maguire for a season, and that's why Ten Hag kind of wants to figure out what it is about Maguire at England and what it is about Maguire at Manchester United and why he looks like 2 different players. And that could be something that Ten Hag is reportedly trying to work out as well. Guys, please do hit that like button. Please do subscribe down below as well. Walter Bishop says Ten Hag wants 8 players. He wants to keep 8 players at United, involve them in his plans, but he would also want 8 players in the transfer window as well. BBC said that Crystal Palace are considering re-signing Aaron Wan-Bissaka, which is true. We will get into that later in the show. I want to talk about the players that we know Ten Hag wants gone. So Jesse Lingard's brother, you've all seen it. Jesse Lingard's brother did this whole bitching rant on Instagram. Look, I think the club have treated Jesse Lingard poorly, but let's not act like Jesse Lingard's a saint. Let's not act like Jesse Lingard hasn't been leaking shit. Let's not act like Jesse Lingard hasn't been flirting with West Ham and doing his Hammers posts on his Instagram. The club's treated Jesse Lingard like shit, but Jesse Lingard hasn't been the most professional. Jesse Lingard is leaving Manchester United. That is confirmed. Nemanja Matic and Mata are leaving Manchester United. That is confirmed. Cavani is leaving Manchester United. That's confirmed. And Pogba is set to leave Manchester United. However, reports are suggesting that Pogba will not make his mind up until he's had some discussions with Ten Hag. But I believe Pogba will leave. If Pogba stays, it's not a good thing. Now, I like Paul Pogba. I think he's a good player. But if Pogba stays, it's not a good thing because Di Marzio has confirmed that no club is willing to give Paul Pogba the same salary Man United are willing to give him. The only reason Pogba would stay at Manchester United is because we are the club that are offering him the highest salary, which I think, again, in itself is concerning. Erik Ten Hag has no plans to Wan-Bissaka. It's come out from, again, Jason Butt of The Telegraph that the struggles of Wan-Bissaka will be reviewed by Ten Hag, who's already identified a rough core of about 8 players he feels he can trust and rebuild around. Aaron Wan-Bissaka's not one of them. It's very reported that Aaron Wan-Bissaka could be on the way out. It's very reported that Martial will be on the way out. In fact, if you look at what all the decent journalists have said and all the good sources of information, they said it's very unlikely Wan-Bissaka and Martial will be here next season. It's very unlikely Eric Bailly will be here next season. It's very unlikely Phil Jones will be here next season. So that's 9 players confirmed basically leaving Manchester United in Cavani, Matic, Mata, Lingard, Pogba, Wan-Bissaka, Phil Jones, Bailly and Martial. That's almost 9 players confirmed to probably be leaving. Reports that Telles, United would be happy to sell Telles if they got an offer. Reports that Ten Hag would be happy to sell Rashford if he got an offer. And even reports that Manchester United would almost use Maguire in a swap deal to lower the player's price, which came out from reliable journalists. So there's a lot of players that are not safe at Manchester United. There's a lot of players that are not wanted at Manchester United. And Erik Ten Hag, according to Jason Butt of The Telegraph, has actually been analysing Marcus Rashford, Wan-Bissaka and Harry Maguire a lot this season. Rashford, Maguire and Wan-Bissaka are 3 players that Man United value quite highly. You know, we spent 80 million on Maguire, we spent 50 million on Wan-Bissaka, and Marcus Rashford is a club asset. And Man United, they don't want to sell Wan-Bissaka, Maguire and Rashford, but I think on current form, you would almost need to sell Marcus Rashford, Harry Maguire and Wan-Bissaka. Now, I still think there's a good player in all of them. I still think they're all Premier League level players, but they've not been good enough. And Manchester United, apparently, want Ten Hag to analyse these players because these are players Ten Hag wants gone. I get the impression that Wan-Bissaka and Rashford and Maguire are players that Erik Ten Hag wants gone. But Manchester United, are reluctant to sell Maguire because of how much they invested in him. Are reluctant to sell Wan-Bissaka because of how much they invested in him. And obviously would be very reluctant to sell Marcus Rashford for obvious reasons. The academy boy, Scott McTominay, Marcus Rashford, they're players that Ollie love, they're players that the owners love, they're players that United are reluctant to sell, but they're players that, Wan-Bissaka, I think, is most likely to leave. I think Wan-Bissaka will leave. From reports from The Athletic and BBC, it's suggesting Wan-Bissaka will leave. But Rashford and Maguire are probably players that Ten Hag watched this season and gone, I don't want them. I know they're good players, I don't want them. And United are wanting really Ten Hag to do a big review on Maguire and Ten Hag to do a big review on Rashford and come to an analysis of what's he going to do with Rashford? What's he going to do with Maguire? Because they've been poor this season. Rangnick's made it very clear to Ten Hag probably they've been poor. Ten Hag probably doesn't want them, but the club, they're not players that the club want to sell. So it's one where, Ten Hag's going to have to do some decisions about deciding it. But apparently it's come out that while Ten Hag is analysing Marcus Rashford, Ten Hag and Rashford believe, and Manchester United believe, that actually Rashford could benefit from being sold. The report is suggesting that Ten Hag actually thinks that Rashford would benefit more from being sold and all of that. I will look at the live chat in just a second. I have seen a few comments and all of that about Ronaldo staying. Is Ronaldo going to stay and all of that? We will discuss that later in the show. And Grace said that Maguire doesn't fit a high line. I do agree as well. However, I think if you had a more modern keeper, Maguire would be more suited to the high line personally myself. But I'm not saying that we should swap the hair for Henderson and play Maguire. I'm not saying that at all. But I think if Henderson played, it could potentially improve Maguire. So there's a growing sense that actually Rashford being sold could benefit Rashford and benefit United. This throws me back to Frankie de Jong. This throws me back to Ousmane Dembele. Manchester United, we know 100% Manchester United want Frankie de Jong. We know Ten Hag wants Frankie de Jong. We know that United used to want Dembele, but I think the new structure at Manchester United will probably shy away from deals like Dembele. We know we want de Jong. Believe it or not, Barcelona have always had an interest in Marcus Rashford. They've always had an interest in Marcus Rashford, and something definitely could be happening with Rashford to Barcelona. Potentially, they've always liked him, and Barcelona are the type of side that are really silly, and Barcelona throw so much money on Coutinho, Griezmann, that they Rashford's had a poor season. Barcelona are the type of side to throw a lot of money on him. Now I have a feeling Marcus Rashford will stay, despite reports that he will leave. I think that Rashford is a player that United won't want to sell, the hierarchy won't want to sell, and at the end of the day, I know we've changed the structure of this club, I know we've changed the way this club operates. I don't think Rashford will be sold. I think if Rashford was sold, it would be used in a deal to lower the price of Frankie de Jong. I think the only way United get Frankie de Jong and the only way Rashford goes is if there was something going on with Barcelona there, if you want my honest opinion. Talking of the 8 players that Erik ten Hag reportedly wants to keep as well. So we know it's been confirmed that Erik ten Hag has identified 8 players that will be in his plans next season at Manchester United. So there's only 8 players that ten Hag's looked at and gone, they will be core to my plans. And if you look at them 8 players, you can say Varane, you can say Sancho, you can say Thread. I think that's an obvious 3. Despite his form, I think Bruno would be 4. Donny van der Beek would be 5. Ronaldo would be 6. David De Gea would be 7. Despite De Gea not suiting ten Hag's philosophy, again, I just think on recent form, he would be 7. But who would be 8? Would it be Victor Lindelof? Would it be Scott McTominay? You know, is it someone like James Garner? We, again, know that Mejbri, Garner and Garnacho were the 3 youth players that Erik ten Hag wants to incorporate and wants to work with. We also know that Erik ten Hag is an admirer of Alvaro Fernandez, the young left back, and I think with Telles and Luke Shaw's form, we could maybe see some development there. So we know youth-wise. We also know that Erik ten Hag's got an eye on Amad Diallo. Now, Amad Diallo's gone on loan to Rangers, and I'm not saying that Amad Diallo has had the best loan at Rangers, but Amad Diallo definitely could be part of Erik ten Hag's plans. You know, if Rashford does leave, and United do need a right winger, Amad Diallo was a right winger. And I actually think Amad Diallo will stay and play for United next season, because even if Rashford stays, if we don't sign a right winger, we've got Elanga, Rashford, Ronaldo, and Sancho to cover those 4 positions. And we'd need the depth of someone like Amad Diallo, who hasn't been particularly good, again, at Rangers. But HTO put this on Twitter, and I 100% agree with him. HTO put on Twitter that I feel like ten Hag has got something cooking for Amad Diallo, to be honest. I think like his temperament and his maturity and his play style at such a young age, I'm looking forward to seeing how he will develop under him. And, you know, you look at Amad Diallo, and I think a lot of people are looking at Amad and saying, oh, he's finished. Like, Lee said Amad's overrated, but guys, Amad Diallo is 18. Like, Amad Diallo is younger than Elanga. Do you know what I mean? Amad Diallo is not young. I think he might be 19. Yeah, he's 19. Amad Diallo's 19. Like, he's still a fucking baby, you know. And yeah, he's not been brilliant at Rangers, but I feel like people, because of his loan spell at Rangers, are acting like he's finished. If Amad Diallo was 23, 24, I'd be worried. If he was playing like that at Rangers at 23, 24, I'd be worried. But Scott McTominay is what, 26? Is Scott McTominay? Let me Google this. Scott McTominay's 25, you know, and he's putting in bang average performances. And that's why I'm worried about Scott McTominay, because he's not a 22-year-old anymore. Amad Diallo's 19, and you can tell that he's a very good player. And there's a reason United spent 80 million with add-ons going to 30 million on him, and that's because United are fucking idiots in the transfer market. But no, when we've watched Amad Diallo, there is a player that he absolutely balls out in the youth academy. And I think with Amad Diallo, he just got the wrong loan. I think he just got the wrong loan. He's so good in the youth academy. He's looked all right when he's had 13 minutes. He's a very technically gifted player, very talented player. And when you think about ten Hag, what does ten Hag do? He plays team-style football. Ten Hag plays team play, progressive play, modern play. That is Amad Diallo. He's a modern player. He's intelligent. You know, Rashford was a good player a few seasons ago. Right now he's not, but Rashford was a good player, but Rashford always lacked that intelligence, where Martial had that little bit more player intelligence. And not, you know, when Martial and Rashford were in their prime, do you know what I mean? They've been poor lately. But that's what I mean about Amad Diallo. I don't think you can say he's finished when he's 19 and he's had 1 poor loan, because loads of people have had poor loans and they've ended up being good players, you know. And I just think the prime example is Jimmy Garner at Nottingham Forest. A year ago, when actually it was over a year, but Jimmy Garner's first loan spell was actually to Watford in the Championship. James Garner went to Watford on loan in the Championship. He wasn't very impressive at Watford. He didn't look good in the Championship at Watford. Then James Garner went to Nottingham Forest and he was really, really good. And I just think sometimes with young players, it's about getting the right loan move to develop. And I do think that Amad Diallo could be integral to Ten Hag's plans. And so, talking of the 8 players that I think long term will be integral to Ten Hag's plans, we know the 8 current players that Ten Hag would probably want to involve next season. But long term, the 8 players that will be integral to Ten Hag's plans, I think, will be James Garner, Hannibal Mejbri, Donny van der Beek, Garnacho, Amad Diallo, I think out of the young players, I think they'll all be integral to Ten Hag's plan. Jadon Sancho will be, Rafael Varane will be, and probably Bruno Fernandes. And a lot of people won't like me for saying Bruno Fernandes, but we've just given Bruno Fernandes a new contract. There's reports saying that Ten Hag agreed with the Bruno contract, and there's reports saying that Ten Hag didn't agree. I don't know. I think with Bruno, I think a lot of United fans forget how good of a player he is. He's been crap this season, but people go his stat pads, the way he plays his stat pads. If it was that easy to stat pad, everyone would do it. Bruno is just playing with no confidence. There's so many chances. Ronaldo could have about 10 more assists this season if Bruno could finish, and a confident Bruno would finish those chances. A confident Bruno would be on about 18 goals. But yeah, he's just been poor. And I think, again, they will be integral to Ten Hag's plans. We know the players Ten Hag wants sold. As I discussed earlier, we do know the players Ten Hag wants sold. TCHOUAMENI's been rubbish on loan. I just think he's done. I think he's 24 now. I think he's getting on 23, 24. I like TCHOUAMENI, but I just think you've got to move past it. And James Garner, Garnacho, Mejbri, Diallo, Charlie McNeil, Donny Van de Beek, Jadon Sancho, Varane, that future all looks bright. I agree with you as well. I will look at the live chat in just a second, but the players that I think will be gone is obviously the players that are leaving on a free. Wan-Bissaka has gone under Ten Hag. I don't know. Rashford is either gone or has got one season to prove himself. Maguire has probably got one season to prove himself. Tellez is probably gone or got one season to prove himself. Bailly is gone. Jones is gone. Martial is very likely gone. We will get into a report that Manchester United are offering Martial and a deal to lower Lautaro Martinez's price, which I think will be really, really interesting as well. I do want to quickly get into some transfer news as well. Obviously, there was a report that Manchester United are going to offer Ousmane Dembele a contract to join the club. I think Ousmane Dembele is using us to get a higher wage at Barcelona. As I said at the start of the video, Manchester United have completely changed the structure of how they do transfers. Rangnick's made it very clear to John Murta, to Richard Arnold, that when Manchester United do go in to do transfers in the future, we need to be buying players that Liverpool would buy. And as I said at the beginning of this video, if you look at Liverpool's squad, Firmino from Hoffenheim, Mane from Southampton, Keita from the RB clubs, Fabinho from Monaco, Salah from Roma, Alisson from Roma, Van Dijk from Southampton, Robertson from Hull, Trent, academy player. Everyone in that Liverpool squad hasn't come from a big club. Shota, Wolves, Diaz, Porto. Everyone in that Liverpool squad that is probably that could win the quadruple, that could go down as the best team in history. Everyone in that Liverpool squad, has come from a club that was a smaller club than Liverpool. And United, where I think we've gone wrong, and where Rangnick had highlighted United have gone wrong, is we're buying players from Real Madrid, Barcelona, from big clubs, and the only reason these players are coming to Manchester United is because we're going to offer them the highest wages. And maybe Dembele would only come to Manchester United if we're going to offer him the highest wages. And I think with Sanchez, Di Maria, Falcao, when you offer a big player from a big club the highest wages, they often flop. Those big money transfers often flop because they're only coming to you for the wrong reasons. They're not coming to you because they want to prove themselves, make a career, have that step up. And I think United are going to step away from that and try and do what Liverpool did and look at the Bundesliga, look at the lower down Premier League teams, look at them hidden gems in France like Tchouaméni, look at NUNEZ. The kind of players that we're being linked to, NKUKU, Tchouaméni, NUNEZ, are all Premier League bound, are players that Man United would be a step up in their career despite us being nudged. So again, as I said with this Dembele story, I don't totally believe the Dembele story. I just think with what Rangnick's saying, if the club are going to listen to Rangnick, if the club are going to listen to Ten Hag, and the club are going to give Rangnick and Ten Hag power and transfers like they says, I don't think we'll be going for Dembele. Di Marzio, with very, very reliable journalists, has said that NKUKU is likely to move to the Premier League rather than returning to PSG. And obviously, we know that NKUKU, RB club, Ralf Rangnick, RB club, there is a little bit of a link there. NKUKU can play on the right and as a striker, and Manchester United need a player in that position. He's obviously been very good this season. Will he suit Ten Hag's system? I don't know. I haven't watched him enough to really know what kind of player he is, but he is a good young player. Ekram Kanar has said that Erik Ten Hag wants Ruben Neves and that Manchester United will hold talks with Wolves over how much Ruben Neves would potentially cost, which again is an interesting report coming out. I think we'll be looking at Ruben Neves because I think what Rangnick and Ten Hag's philosophy is let's do what Liverpool have done. Buy good players in the Premier League that aren't too overpriced with a good injury record, and they'll come to Manchester United to prove themselves. Mark Ogden has said that Declan Rice is seen as having the character required to thrive at Manchester United under Ten Hag and would be a statement signing that would prove potential targets that the club are ready to build success again, and that United will be willing to pursue Declan Rice. When Man United get linked to Declan Rice, guys, I do ignore it. I won't lie, I do ignore a lot of the Manchester United Declan Rice stories because I always feel with Declan Rice to Man United. He's Chelsea bound, that it's not going to happen. I don't really believe that there's much in Declan Rice to Manchester United. I just think he's too expensive. I think that he's Chelsea bound. I think it's just definitely one to sort of write off and go, look, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. That's how I feel with Declan Rice. By the way, guys, if you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do subscribe down below if you're watching and you're new. If you want to stay up to date with all the latest Manchester United news, transfer news, updates, and more, please do subscribe. I go live every single evening, keeping you guys up to date on all the latest Manchester United news, transfer news, and more. Reports that Andreas Pereira will stay at Manchester United and be involved in Ten Hag's plans. I hope not. I hope not. What only? We'll have to wait and see. As well, and Dembele will get injured as soon as he signs. You're absolutely spot on. And Gaz says, is Rashford leaving? Reports that Rashford could be leaving, and the report that came out today, there's obviously been reports that Rashford's been leaving all season. I think, is it Rashford trying to use it as, I think Rashford's pissed off he's not playing. In my opinion, now this is just my opinion, I think Rashford's pissed off he's not playing. Rashford can't, like, Alanga's playing over him, Mata's playing over him. Rashford's pissed off he's not playing. And I think a lot of the reports that Rashford was leading or Rashford had got an offer from Barcelona was almost Rashford's PR team hoping that would scare the club into making Ralf Rangnick play him. That's how I almost feel like it was. However, it's come out from Jason Burt of the Telegraph that Ten Hag believes that maybe Rashford would benefit more from leaving the club. And Ten Hag's unsure about Rashford. There are reports that Rashford could leave. Again, we'll have to wait and see. It's also come out from Jason Burt of the Telegraph that Rangnick has not changed his opinion that United need at least 2 new strikers. Ten Hag is likely to agree with Rangnick, but it may depend on the future of Rashford. Again, Rangnick very, very doesn't like Rashford. Rashford isn't a Ralf Rangnick player, and Martial is set to leave United. The thing is, with Martial very likely to leave, with Greenwood, I don't think he'll come back. With Cavani leaving, with Ronaldo leaving, even if we want Rashford to go, we might have to keep Rashford, because if you think about it, Cavani's gone, Martial's very likely to go. Greenwood, I don't think will come back, and even if he is found not guilty, will he? I just feel like it would be too much of a mess. And Ronaldo, we don't know. Like, there's reports Ronaldo's staying, there's reports he's leaving. I think Ronaldo won't make his mind up till July. So it's like United could lose every single striker they have. And although Rashford isn't a striker, we might have to force Rashford into staying as well. But, Rangnick said it's clear that United need 2 new strikers, and Ten Hag agrees on him with that. But obviously, it depends on what future Ten Hag believes Rashford has. And it's been reported that Ten Hag actually thinks that Rashford might benefit more from leaving the club, and Man United might benefit more for it. And Jason Burt of the Telegraph has also said that there's very little chance that Martial will return to Manchester United as well. And, yeah, it's an interesting one. A story that came out as well was that Ralf Rangnick, and again from Jason Burt of the Telegraph, he said that Ralf Rangnick apparently recommended that United sign a striker in the January window after Greenwood was suspended. However, the decision was taken to continue with the forward line that United possessed, even though Martial left on loan. Again, reading the story really frustrates me, because it's basically been said that Rashford went to the club in January and said, can you get me a striker? We're mudded for attackers. Can you get me a striker? And the club thought, the club decided, instead of buying Ralf Rangnick a striker in January, they were going to stop Jesse Lingard's move to Newcastle at the last minute. And this is where I have a little bit of sympathy with Jesse Lingard, because Jesse Lingard was on the verge of moving to Newcastle. Rangnick wanted a striker. They went, you know what, we won't get you a striker, Rangnick, but we're going to use a player that you said can leave, and we're going to bring him back. Ralf Rangnick said Jesse Lingard can leave. Ralf Rangnick said Lingard's not on my plans, he can leave. And Ralf Rangnick wanted a striker. He said, let Lingard leave and use the money we get for Lingard to invest in someone like Julian Alvarez, who's now going to Manchester City. The club absolutely ignored Ralf Rangnick and said, you know what, you can have Jesse Lingard. So instead of buying Rangnick a striker, right at the end of the transfer window, they told Jesse Lingard he's not going to Newcastle when it was 99% done, and Jesse Lingard had to come back to Manchester United, not play football. Then Jesse Lingard starts causing problems. Then the dressing room gets even worse, which one of the reasons is because of Jesse Lingard. Then the leaks come out. Then the environment's not nice. And a big part of it is because the club did not let Jesse Lingard go to Newcastle because of what happened with Greenwood. And instead of getting a striker to replace Greenwood last minute like we did with Diallo, I know Diallo wasn't the best, but getting a temporary striker in, they thought, we'll bring back Lingard, who Rangnick said he didn't want, to just cause problems. And it really irritates me, because, United could have easily got a young striker or a striker on loan to the end of the season. And criticise Ralf Rangnick all you want. He's not been the best interim manager. We're not getting top 4. But you've got to think about it from my perspective. And this is why I'm not that critical of Ralf Rangnick. Ralf Rangnick is not here to be a good interim manager. Ralf Rangnick is here to change things higher up. But what's been good about Ralf Rangnick is his press conferences. What he said has driven a change at United. And a lot of fans don't realise that Ralf Rangnick's actually probably been the best thing that's happened to this club this season. Despite the poor results, I think Ralf Rangnick's been the best thing to happen to this club this season because it's exposed the players for who they really are and it's exposed the board to make a change. Ralf Rangnick's come in and he's exposed the players to who they really are. We were blaming Ollie. We weren't blaming the players. Now I sit here and go, you know what? Was it Ollie's fault? Maybe it was Ollie's fault that the players got like this because Ollie protected them, but was it Ollie's fault? You know, Ralf Rangnick's come here and he showed us actually the problem with this club is the players and the problems at this club is the board. And Rangnick's come in, he's exposed the board multiple times. What have the board done? Jim Lawler sacked, Marcel Bout sacked, Woodward resigns, Judge resigns, all of it, Ten Hag instead of Poch. If Rangnick wasn't here, it would be Pochettino, it would be Judge, and they'd be working together, and it'd be another yes man, and it would be another failed rebuild. This is the first time that Man United have actually changed the structure of the club because Ralf Rangnick's gone to Mercer and gone, it's about getting the best coaches with the best recruitment to get the best players to build the best team. And, you know, Mercer's ready to take that on. And, you know, United as a club are finally changing. And I think you have to give, you know, Ralf Rangnick credit for that. And a lot of people saying Ralf Rangnick is an awful interim manager. And I get that. It's not been good. But have you seen the players he's worked with? Ralf Rangnick since January, Ralf Rangnick for 90% of his tenures had to work with a front three of Ronaldo, Sancho and Elanga and Rashford. That's it. I'm being honest. When I say this, this is 100% facts. Ralf Rangnick's whole attacking line for 90% of his interim tenure, his only options are Elanga, Rashford, Ronaldo or Sancho. Now, obviously, Ronaldo's been brilliant. Rashford's been dreadful. Elanga is not that good, but at least he listens to Rangnick's instructions, which is why he plays. And Sancho. And those four players have been his only options because Cavani's fucked off, Martial's fucked off, and Greenwood's fucked off. So they were his only options, and the board didn't want to back him. They just gave him back Jesse Lingard, who he just wasn't going to use anyway, who just caused problems. Yes, he had Juan Mata, but, you know, Juan Mata, as we see, play him in the 10. All right, play him on the wing, doesn't do anything. So, as well, I'm reluctant to always criticise Ralf Rangnick because I look at the options he's had, I look at the job he's done, and I go, you know what? Looking at Ralf Rangnick, you know, they're not the best appointment, but what the fuck do you expect him to do? And you know what? It's probably the best thing to happen because he's made some changes much further up in the club as well. Guys, please do hit that like button. Please do subscribe down below if you're new. Dybala on the 3. Again, it's not a transfer I want to happen. I think he'd only come to us if we were offering him the highest wages. Dybala's, you know, aging now. Dybala rejected us earlier, didn't want to come to us before. I think Dybala's only intention to come to United would be wages as well. Will Mason be playing again? If not, who's his replacement? Well, Mason's court hearing is in mid-June. If he's found not guilty, then he probably will play football again. I just don't think he'll be allowed to play in the Premier League because it just all came out online. I just think it would be such a toxic environment as well. And Andrew says, either way, we will need 2 striker signings with all the 9s we're losing. You're absolutely spot on. I agree with you there. And Matic, Mata, and Ronaldo can still play better than Rashford, Martial, Maguire, and Lingard. You're absolutely spot on. It makes me laugh. It really makes me laugh because it took a load of 30-year-olds. The players were like, finished. The players were finished to actually show them how it's done. And I'm going to get a quote for you guys. This is a really good quote from Ralf Rangnick. If I can find it, I put it in my post-match. Okay. Ralf Rangnick said after the game, Ralf Rangnick said after the game, as far as he knows, Cristiano Ronaldo will be at Manchester United next season. Ralf Rangnick said that after the game, but I'm trying to find out what else Ralf Rangnick said. Ralf Rangnick said something, and it's somewhere written on my quotes. But Ralf Rangnick said it's nice to see the team are all happy to play with each other, or something along those lines. And you know, that was kind of Ralf Rangnick's way of basically exposing the players, saying that some of these players didn't want to play with each other. And Rangnick was saying with these current players at Manchester United, with Mata, Matic, and Ronaldo, he had 11 players on the pitch. We had 11 players versus Brentford that all wanted to play with each other, and I think he's right. You know, it took us to the final game of the season, which is very, very frustrating to see it. But for the first time all season, we'd seen Man United players playing with a smile on their pitch. Man United playing well for 90 minutes. Man United keeping a clean sheet, scoring 3 goals, winning 3-0. Yes, I know it's Brentford, but Brentford did beat Chelsea 4-1. You know, we saw Man United playing incredibly well. We saw players smiling. We saw players working together. For the first time in 4 or 5 months, we've seen Man United play like a team. And happy to play together. And Rangnick had said it. And it's mad that these players that are finished, like Mata and Matic and Ronaldo, were the three best players on the pitch yesterday, setting an example to the younger players. And it's very, very clear that the problem that lies within Man United is the younger social media PR generation. And I've always said this. I think, and now we can't stop it, social media is a massive part of life. My whole life is social media, but I think the social media generation and the younger generation at United, I'm not talking about the youth academy, but the younger generation is a little bit of a problem, because when the club Manchester United has been built these last 10 years on commercial success over Premier League success, the club are always telling players, oh, make sure you get that on your social media, make sure you get that. Jesse Lingard was doing clothing ranges, all these stunts to make income from social media, all the PR. This club, social media orientated, winning team, essay. This whole club's image has been about social media clicks, PR, and their image on social media for the last 10 years. And look, Ronaldo, Matic, and Mata, they're the older players. They're the ones that have lived a fair bit of their life without social media. They're probably the ones that give the least shits about social media out of all the players. And they seem to be the ones with the best attitude at the moment, the ones that are setting an example, because I think the United dressing room, it's very clear there's a lot of jealousy and egos in there. It's been reports that there's a lot of jealousy, and I always think, could there be jealousy that someone's got a social media deal or someone's got more followers than this person? Because the club, with the way they've been acting, pushing social media, pushing PR, could have created that. And I'm not saying that social media is a problem, but I love social media, but I think maybe some of the younger players, are too focused about how they look on social media and being cool rather than on the pitch. Because I also think, and I really like Marcus Rashford. I think he is a good player, and I think there's still a good player in there. Marcus Rashford is some player that I know will probably be sitting on Twitter reading every single comment about him. In fact, we know that about certain United players, that they really do deep a lot of things that have been said. And when I look at Rashford, what happened with the Euros was horrible. The abuse Marcus Rashford got at the Euros was absolutely horrible. But Saka's managed to put his head up and recover from that, and ignore it and block it out. And Sancho sort of slowly recovered from that. But I feel like with Rashford, he might have let that affect him. He spent a lot of time with his head on social media. His confidence had been knocked after the Euros. He'd had that injury. It had not been a good return. He's had a few performances. He goes on social media, everyone's slagging him off. I've always said with Marcus Rashford, I feel like he's a confidence player. I feel like he's massively a confidence player. He's always been a confidence player. And I think if he's online and he's hearing all this crap about him, it's not going to help his confidence. And I think, United players these days, the younger players, they don't like being criticised. Man United football players have blocked people for criticising them on Twitter, criticising them online. They have every right to block people, but it's like if someone criticises you, you block them. If someone abuses you, 100% block them. United players will block people that criticise them. United players have been ringing up Rio Ferdinand saying, can you not slag me off? Can you not criticise me? United players are getting annoyed at Roy Keane, Gary Neville, the pundits, for criticising them. A lot of these younger United players don't like being criticised. And when you're a footballer and you're not playing well, you need to be criticised. And if you can't accept being criticised, then you're not meant for football. Ronaldo even said it. When Roy Keane and all the top players at United were criticising when he was 18, 19, he thought, well, they're where I want to be. They're the top players. If they criticise me, I'm going to learn from that. I'm going to try and be the best player I can be. Reports were coming out that when Ronaldo was criticising some of the younger players at Manchester United, they were getting annoyed at Ronaldo for criticising him. Ronaldo's won it all at Manchester United. If he criticises you, you take it constructively. You want to learn. And I always feel like there's this social media generation of United players that have been causing problems in the dressing room, where it's about, oh, let's get my social media done. Let's get my PR done. Oh, how dare they criticise me? And it's ego fueled and money fueled and commercial fueled. And I think the club had done that by pushing social media, pushing PR, and all of that at United. And I just think that it took Mata, Matic, and Ronaldo all to set an example for this club, because they're the ones that aren't listening and caring about what's said and read about them online. They're the ones that are happy to be playing, want to be playing. They're the ones with the right mentality, and they're the ones that have actually won things. I know that they haven't won much at United, but they've won things as well. And that's just a bit of an unpopular opinion of mine as well. Guys, please do hit that like button if you haven't already, and of course subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football if you are new. If you're new and you want to stay up to date with all the latest Manchester United news and transfer news, please do subscribe to the channel. I go live every single evening, keeping you guys up to date with all the latest Manchester United news and transfer news as well. Just saw an article saying United will try and sign Lautaro Martinez. A few reports have come out linking Lautaro Martinez to Manchester United. There's reports that Manchester United would offer 42 million plus Martial for Martinez, according to Sky Sports. And there was also another report about Lautaro Martinez to Manchester United from Gary Jacobs, saying that Manchester United will offer a part swap deal with Martial for Lautaro Martinez. We know that Martial's likely on the way out, and United would probably like to do a swap deal. So yeah, there has been reports of Martinez to Manchester United as well. Snowflake FC is a good way of putting it. Social media FC, and not that different than the past, just used to be in the media, in the fansies, and at ground. Criticism need to have better mentality, says Andrew, and I think you're spot on there. But I think we are social media FC. I think we are Snowflake FC as well. And do you think the board have told Ralf not to make any big decisions like dropping Maguire because it will cause trouble and he's only interim, and told him the new manager can make the decision? Yes and no. I think that Ralf Rangnick was pressured to start Maguire every game because of his price tag. It's been reported that Ralf Rangnick allegedly said that Maguire's been poor, but because of his price tag, but it's such a substantial price that he was reluctant to drop Maguire. We know that Harry Maguire is captain of Manchester United because the club do not want to cause some kind of off-the-pitch issues. Harry Maguire is purely captain of Manchester United because there could be off-the-pitch issues if you strip captaincy. If you strip Maguire of captaincy, it doesn't look good in the media. If you take captaincy off Maguire and you give it to Ronaldo halfway through the season, and the media will go, oh, those leaked reports that the players wanted Ronaldo to be captain must be right. And those leaked reports that there's player feuds that Maguire's captain must be right, because now they took captaincy of Maguire and given it to Ronaldo. I think Ralf Rangnick's only here for interim when there's so many dressing room issues. And whether you like Harry Maguire or not, Ralf Rangnick will know that Harry Maguire, whether he's been good or not, Harry Maguire is a very powerful figure in the Manchester United dressing room. A very powerful figure. And Harry Maguire's a player that if you're Ralf Rangnick, you don't want to upset. If you upset Maguire, it can cause dressing room issues that I think taking captaincy off Maguire would be a bit of a risk, and I think Rangnick wouldn't want to take. So I do agree that there's some element in that. Nothing against you, but it's sad that we talk about how social media affects these wet wipes. I agree, we need to have a better mentality at Manchester United. These players are too affected about criticism and social media, and the mentality, as Andrew said, needs to massively improve at Manchester United. And what I will say about ERIK ten Hag is, and what we know about ERIK ten Hag, and I've got a video that will either come out tomorrow or Thursday, and the video that will come out tomorrow or Thursday is basically 5 things that ten Hag will change at Man United. And one of the things I'm going to discuss in the video will come out either tomorrow or Thursday is how ERIK ten Hag is going to change the mentality of Manchester United, and that's needed. The mentality of Manchester United is absolutely, it's not there. A lot of the players are too affected by criticism, too affected by what's said on social media, and they don't have that mentality to win. They're bottle jobs. Maybe we beat Brentford so comfortably because there was no pressure on us, because as soon as there's pressure on United, we crumble. As soon as we concede a goal, we crumble, at the moment. And with ERIK ten Hag, we know one thing he's known for doing is changing the mentality of dressing rooms, and that's something United need. We know that ERIK ten Hag has been wanting to learn about the dressing room dynamic. I will get into that in a sec, but the captain of Utrecht that played under ten Hag, I completely forgot his name. He said that when ERIK ten Hag came to Utrecht, the dressing room was very different, and ERIK ten Hag lifted the dressing room. He instilled a winning mentality. He said that ERIK ten Hag demanded a lot of us, but the whole vibe, the whole influence, the whole mood of the dressing room changed. He said that ERIK ten Hag instilled a winning mentality in all of us, and that ERIK ten Hag apparently has a reputation for instilling a much more higher winning mentality in players because he demands so much. And if you can't meet ten Hag's demands, he's not going to say, "Oh, sorry, Rashford, you can't meet my demands." He's going to go, "Fuck off, piss off then." He's not there to be your friend. He's there to win. He cares about how he looks, not about how the players look. And he instills this big winning mentality. And a lot of players that worked under ten Hag said they will demand a lot. Daley, Blind, Donny, Van de Beek been telling the squad ten Hag's going to demand a lot. A lot of players that have been playing under ten Hag are saying, he instills like a big winning mentality in players. And that's something that I think this club need, because I think there's a mentality issue at Manchester United. In fact, we know there's a mentality issue at Man United. The fact that this squad could not get top 4 says, despite, losing Martial, losing Greenwood, Cavani being injured and all of that, and the problems we've had and how thin the squad is, the fact that this squad could not get top 4, when you look at the team we had at the start of the season, you look at where we are at now, it's a disgrace. I think it says all you want. We've had 2 managers, they've not been able to fix the problem. The fact that the squad is where it is, I think, again, it shows that there's a big mentality issue at United. And one of the things that had come out from Jay Bird of The Telegraph said that I think ERIK ten Hag has been intrigued by the dynamics within the United dressing room and wants to see where the power lies. Apparently, ERIK ten Hag is interested to know where the power lies within the United dressing room. We know that Ralf Rangnick basically said in press conferences and interviews, obviously Ralf Rangnick didn't come out and say there's too much power in the dressing room, but Manchester United, Ralf Rangnick said that at Manchester United there's too many egos, there's too much power. You know, people aren't listening to his instructions. Allegedly, Ralf Rangnick's allegedly been saying that the dressing room is full of too much power, too much egos. People haven't been listening to his dressing room. We know there's a big power problem at Man United, and this is something that Erik ten Hag wants to sort out. And I think there was a report that came out last week, and I think it was either Andy Mitten or Rob Dawson. I can't remember who said this. It came out about a week ago, or maybe even 2 weeks ago now. And I did a video on it, to be fair, if I can go back and find the video. But one of the first things Erik ten Hag wants to do when he comes to Manchester United is sort out the dressing room dynamic. It's been said by the Mirror that ten Hag is going to be holding interviews with every single Manchester United player to see where they stand, see what their issues are, see what needs to be helped. I think Ralf Rangnick is very much like he wants to know what the issues are, why there's dressing room issues. He wants to know what players are willing to listen to instructions and play for him. If they won't, he will get rid of them. We know that, you know, Erik ten Hag is going to make a lot of changes at United. And I think one of the things that Erik ten Hag wants to change as soon as he gets there is, you know, the dressing room. He wants to sort it out. He wants to know where this mess is. And, you know, that's been highly reported as well. We should be made extinct today and tomorrow. I can fly home. No idea what you're on about there. And with Judge Woodward and others gone, we see Monday's team selection that Rangnick's position is more authoritative. Maybe that was the team Rangnick wanted to select. That's an interesting comment, because I think, you know, if Judge and Woodward were influencing Rangnick on who to pick, which I think, you know, the people higher up probably do influence Rangnick and Ollie on who to pick. When you spend 50 million on Wan-Bissaka and 80 million on Maguire, and they've been crap and they're never dropped, it's because they spent 130 million on them. All of a sudden, Diallo's playing over Wan-Bissaka. All of a sudden, Lindelof and Varane are playing. And I think, you know, with Woodward and Judge gone, you know, it's like he can pick Matic and Mata over Rashford and Maguire and the favourites. Maybe, because it was interesting. I do think what was really interesting about the match is, you know, this was Man United's best performance in about 5 months. And you know what was their best performance about 5 months? Because most of the players that played last night, yeah, they've barely been involved all season when you think about it. Most of the players that played last night have barely been involved for Manchester United last season. Mata's barely been involved. Matic barely been involved. You know, and, you know, Mata and Matic were two of the best players on the pitch. Lindelof and Varane, we haven't seen them much together. It's always been Maguire. Defence looks solid, you know. Elanga's only recently come on because he listens to instructions. You know, a lot of the players that played and were involved are players that haven't played much this season. You know, if you think about it, the first half of the season was Luke Shaw, Maguire, either Varane or Lindelof, Wan-Bissaka, McFred, first half of the season. You know, no Mata, no Matic, never involved, no Elanga. You know, a lot of the players, you know, that played, Diallo was barely involved. And, you know, I thought Diallo was crap last night. Telles was barely involved. I think Telles is crap. But, you know, everyone that played last night were players that haven't been involved that much this season as well, which I thought was interesting. And it's like almost like the club favourites, almost like the so-called key players, the club favourites, are almost maybe the ones causing the problems at United because of that. Ralf should not have let anyone dictate his selection. His coaching legacy with us would have been better. We've seen improvement since Maguire's been out. Definitely, I agree. We don't know for sure if the board influence who Ralf picks, but we can guess from speculation and reported news and rumours that it's very clear that the club has sort of said to Ralf Rangnick, you know, 80 million Harry Maguire is such a substantial investment. We can't just ditch this investment and all of that. But I agree that maybe, I think generally, and I see here and I fully believe, if the board had brought in Julian Alvarez and Hedera in January that Ralf Rangnick wanted, we would have got top four. Because where have the problems lied? Lack of options in attack, midfield. Yes, the defence has been crap. Yes, we've had to play Harry Maguire. Yes, Telles has been poor. But I solely believe if we'd have got Hedera and Julian Alvarez in January that Ralf Rangnick wanted, we would have got top four. Even with this spoiled squad, even with the problems. Because for Man United to get top four, all we had to do was beat Watford. We should have beat Watford. That would be 2 more points. Bish, bash, bosh. Beat Watford. All we had to do was beat Everton. That would be 3 more points. Bish, bash, bosh. That's 5 more points. A win against Everton, a win against Watford. And then we had to beat Burnley. Bish, bash, bosh. That would be 7 more points. If we beat Burnley, we beat Watford, and we beat Everton, they're all fighting relegation, we'd be on 7 more points. We'd be Champions League bound. You know, and you think Hedera and Alvarez could have made a difference. So maybe you'll say I'm deluded. Maybe you'll say the squad would have never got top 4. But Rangnick wanted Julian Alvarez. He's going to Manchester City. Rangnick wanted Hedera. I don't know if we'll get him. You know, problems have lied in midfield. Problems have lied in attack. And I look at Spurs. You know, it was Arsenal or Man United for top 4. Spurs are now a top 4 contender. Spurs could get top 4. Who does Spurs buy? Kuleveski, Benteke. Spurs backed Conte in January. If Spurs get top 4 and Arsenal or Man United miss out, it will be because Spurs were the only one at Man United, Arsenal and Tottenham to invest in January. I solely believe that. Thanks for the super chat, Dennis. What do I think about Lingard's statement? I understand exactly why Jesse Lingard would be frustrated at Manchester United. I think that the club had treated Jesse Lingard appallingly. We stopped him going to West Ham in the summer. We promised him we'd play him, and we never played him. And it's not like United were good. Bruno was crap. We were crap, and Lingard will come off the bench and score a goal, and we still wouldn't play him. He still wouldn't be involved. So I had frustration for Jesse Lingard. I felt a bit sorry for him. I think the club treated him poorly. I think in January, we should have let him go to Newcastle. Ralf Rangnick didn't want him. The board undermined Ralf Rangnick and threw Jesse Lingard back in the squad when he was this close to moving to Newcastle, to where he knew it wasn't wanted. You know, Jesse Lingard's head would have been out of it in January. When you're this close to moving to another club because you know your current manager's going to use you and he said that you can go and you've got your head all excited to join another club and play again, you know, Jesse Lingard's head was out of it. Which, you know, that's why I have a bit of sympathy for Lingard. However, when he's been on the pitch, does he look like he gives a shit? No. And I think maybe that could be affected by the club's treatment, but he looks like he doesn't give a fuck. He's not been good enough on the pitch. His antics off the pitch have not been acceptable. And no matter how bad the club has treated him, and I do have sympathy because he has been treated poor by the club, Jesse Lingard's actions, the way Jesse Lingard's acted, it's not been good enough. And, you know, his brother shouldn't be saying shit like that. His brother's spot on with all the crap he says about the Glazers, but his brother, you know, maybe Jesse Lingard not get the testimonials. It's a bit sad and all of that, but you know, you've not really, you know, Matic showed you up in one start. Matic just showed you up, and they're fucking in their 30s. You know, I just think Lingard, yeah, the club's not treating him well, but I just think the Lingard brothers thing is, yeah, silly. Guys, please do hit that like button if you have not already. And of course, subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football if you're new. If you do want to stay up to date with all the latest Manchester United news, transfer news, updates, and more, make sure you subscribe to Alice Talks Football because I do have a video coming out at midday tomorrow, which I think is going to be 5 things that Ten Hag's going to change at Man United, 5 things that will be different next season, 5 things I expect to see change next season will be out tomorrow. I will be live tomorrow night. I'm either going to be live tomorrow night, like at 6 o'clock before the Champions League, or like 10 p.m. after the Champions League. So if you're not subscribed, do subscribe because obviously we'll post notifications bell on so you know when I'm live tomorrow. We'll be live Thursday, we'll be live Friday, we'll be live Saturday for United Brighton, we'll be live basically every single day this week. So if you are new, please do subscribe because I do all the latest Manchester United news, transfer news and more. I do match reactions, match previews, watch-alongs and all of that as well. Keep hitting the like button as well. And Alice loved the kitchen live stream. Well, we'll be back in the kitchen probably tomorrow night. If I do a late live stream tomorrow, we'll be back in the kitchen. And everyone says, oh, Alice, go to the kitchen, go to the kitchen. Well, tomorrow's live stream could be in the kitchen, guys. As well, I just wanted to get through 1 or 2 more things quickly before we end the live stream as well. Talking about first question for you is Varane and Lindelof, is that the best partnership? Second thing is Romano said that Cristiano Ronaldo, Fabrizio Romano's just said this, that Cristiano Ronaldo knows that United need fresh players, need something new, and he wants to make sure Manchester United are happy with him in the project, and he wants to know what kind of ideas Ten Hag has. I think Ronaldo hasn't made his mind up about Manchester United. I think Ronaldo is happy to stay at Manchester United if he's in Ten Hag's plan. David Ornstein says that his view is that one of the departures won't be Cristiano Ronaldo. He's still on contract. I think that we will see him as part of Ten Hag's new United squad. I'm personally not getting strong indications that Ronaldo will leave as well. And obviously, Zlatan Ibrahimovic has been talking about Manchester United, and whoever did things before they put the status of the club and history of the club, that doesn't help you now. You can't say how good you was in the past and not do anything now. Zlatan said that United, they've done brilliant things in the past, but they're not doing anything now because someone has ruined the club. Calling out the Glazers. James Garner will be on the team sheet today. Guys, I'm going to be watching Nottingham Forest versus Bournemouth. I was about to say versus Manchester United. What am I on here? I'm going to go off now and I'm going to watch Nottingham Forest versus Bournemouth because I think that's going to be a really, really interesting game. I kind of want Nottingham Forest to win. I want to see them back in the Premier League. I don't know about you guys. Who you root for, Nottingham Forest and Bournemouth? I'm going to watch that game because there'll be James Garner and I hope Spencer's playing. I haven't checked the lineup and he could be a player at Manchester United next season, but been very, very, very good for Manchester United. You know, so he'd be very good for, what am I saying? James Garner's been very, very good for Nottingham Forest. That's what I mean. But thank you everybody for tuning in today's live stream. I am going to end the live stream here. Smash a like, smash a subscribe, share the video. We'll be back tomorrow night. There could be 2 uploads tomorrow night. There might be a short upload in the day and a live stream in the night. So make sure you're subscribed. See you then.